about to listen to the Dr. Dahlia Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Dahlia Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Dahlia.
And we're back on the Dr. Dahlia Show, 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So many of us are still in shock over what happened at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Third attempt on President Trump's life. And I think early reports from the media were like, oh, I think they were just going after the press. No, he was going after Trump. There's a manifesto. It was obvious. 3 attempts on the president's life. How does this keep happening? And when I heard that it happened at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, the Washington Hilton, I was like, isn't that the same place back in 81 where Ronald Reagan was shot? Same hotel. I mean, God bless the Secret Service, God bless law enforcement, for protecting everybody there, and there not being any loss of life. This could have been horrible. In fact, Cole Thomas Allen, the suspect, 31 years old, who's going to be arraigned today for committing this and allegedly also shooting a Secret Service agent. I mean, he could have had a suicide vest. He could have had, bombs on him. There could have been so many other things he could have done when he breached security that thank God he didn't. And thank God Secret Service and law enforcement jumped on this as quickly as possible. But now that, we have this manifesto and, all eyes are on where were the signs? And we're going to speak a little bit more about who Cole Thomas Allen was. But, I'm looking at the rhetoric. I'm looking at people on social media. And they're laughing. They're happy about this. I'm like, are you kidding me? A third attempt on the president's life. What's wrong with these people? And, I had early on when I heard that this happened, at the Washington Hilton, I was like, see, this is why we need a ballroom on the White House property. This way it's easier to vet. It's easier to ensure that nobody, checked in the day before. It's easier to sweep, make quote unquote sterile, which is the verbiage they use. So this is why they need to do a ballroom. And so I posted that early on. This is kind of why we have to be really careful, especially, now that we have such a sick population of individuals who just, want to be famous for, taking down a public official. And of course, people balked at that going, oh, no. They really hate the ballroom idea. It's like anything Trump wants to do, cure cancer, whatever. They just hate. They're finding fault with it. They just hate him so much. And you're like, look, this isn't about somebody trying to shoot Trump or somebody trying to hurt Trump. This person didn't care if liberals or Democrats were killed as well. I mean, he was attacking the White House Correspondents' Dinner. There were probably more, number for number, non-Republicans and Republicans in the room. And I look at how everybody's thinking, and I keep bringing this up, when we talk about hate and racism and anti-Semitism and homophobia, where people are like, well, they're only discriminated against these guys, so I'm good, I'm safe. Well, they're only trying to assassinate Trump, so we're good. Are you? The same type of individual who is, anti-American and anti-public official, whether they're Republican or not, can also have the same hate for somebody in the Democratic Party as well. What if the Democratic candidate or the Democratic president isn't as liberal as they want to be? Remember, these are individuals with mental illness. Now, I don't want to read the manifesto that Cole Thomas Allen wrote, but obviously this guy was sick in the head. And we have individuals just, planning and plotting. And it's not just going to be a Republican president. It's going to be a Democrat president. It's going to be, this is why I like the ballroom. This isn't, so Trump has a ballroom. It's so that there's a easier place to vet, easier place to secure, easier place to quote unquote, sterilize from a security standpoint. It just makes more sense. But when you have to take out a hotel and you have to take out, an area, every time we hear of these, these assassination attempts, they're not necessarily within the White House. They're outside. It's when they get the president out. And I don't think the president needs to be locked up, for 4 years in the White House. But I mean, look at how many people could have gotten hurt. This was really dangerous. And the rhetoric just keeps going, going, going. You hear people joking about, oh, he should have done it this way. Or, I mean, look at what happened with the Butler, Pennsylvania shooter. I mean, actual public officials joking about how he missed. That's disgusting. And if you think the opposite party is immune, it's not. Because the individuals who are going after Republicans with this sort of thinking many times are a part of that party. And they're not going to use logic and go, well, you know what? This person is trying and he's maybe not as progressive, or he's not as this, or I think whatever irrational thinking they have is what they're going to justify disgusting behavior. This White House Correspondents' Dinner is going to happen again. From what I understand, Trump was very vocal about wanting to go back. Like when he was shot in Butler, Pennsylvania, he was like, fight, fight, fight. He wanted to show everybody that, no, you're not going to win. You're not going to disrupt an event. You're going to let me speak. You're going to let us enjoy the evening. This is America, for crying out loud. And I don't blame him for wanting to go back, but I agree with Secret Service that per protocol, you can't sweep the building. You have a Secret Service agent shot. You have individuals scared. Erica Kirk obviously was there, and she was, traumatized by what was going on. I mean, you're seeing people on the ground and under tables, although there was somebody who was eating dinner. I posted a video where there was somebody that just continued to eat while all the chaos was going on. They just continued to eat. I noticed that. And then you saw some people grabbing bottles of wine. I'm kind of confused about that one, but really, you don't have access to wine, but you got to steal it from, loot. You're going to actually loot at the Correspondents' Dinner after there is a shooting. Well done, law enforcement, for again stepping up and being there and putting your lives on the line to protect others. But there's going to be a lot of questions as to how this guy got through and how this happened now 3 times. 1-877-Doc-Dolly, don't go away.
Have you ever thought you'd like to buy and sell houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? My name is Ron LeGrand, and over the past 40 years, I've bought over 3,000 houses without using my money or credit and taught thousands to do the same. Today, even in a virtual environment, we buy nice houses in nice neighborhoods using no banks, realtors, contractors, or other costly entanglements, and build huge cash flow and wealth without the hassle of tenants, all without credit and little or no money. You don't need a license or experience, and I'll show you exactly how it's done. Text FREE to 99-799, and I'll send you my free training. I promise you I'll change the way you think about real estate and open the door to a new lifestyle that doesn't involve risk or rehabs and can quickly replace your current income. Text FREE to 99-799, and let me show you how to take your life back and build cash flow and wealth from your home. That's FREE to 99-799. Again, FREE to 99-799.
Hi, it's Mark Falter, host of the Financial Fitness Show. I strongly believe that no one should ever pay 1 penny more in taxes than they are legally obligated. Unfortunately, for most hardworking Americans, this just isn't the case. Why? Because most people spend more time planning next weekend's getaway than trying to ensure they're going to pay less in taxes. My financial fitness team has put together some materials that I know are going to help you. It's the Tax Savings Kit. Tax Savings Kit includes 3 things: free tax analysis, top 10 ways to pay less in taxes, and an investor's guide to taxes. Now, how do you get it? Simple. 866-764-2635. Again, 866-764-2635. I'm Mark Falter. This is Financial Fitness, making personal finance profitable.
Dr. Dolly Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Dr. Dolly, 1-877-DOCDALI. So I've been seeing COVID make a comeback, and I know a lot of you guys, oh gosh, no more COVID. No, it's going to be a pain in the butt, and I understand. This is why I'm so frustrated that politics got involved, because the COVID virus is going to be something that's going to keep coming in different forms, and for some of us, it won't do anything, and we'll be good. But for others of us, it's going to really mess us up. And so I had a patient this morning, a mom call. Her young daughter was having difficulty breathing and tested positive for COVID. And this new strain, the cicada strain, doesn't necessarily always trigger the over-the-counter tests. But we do have over-the-counter tests. And I love the fact that we can at least get part of our diagnosis at home. I still recommend that everybody still see a medical provider. But it does help when parents, want to know right away what's going on with their child. They at least can go, okay, it looks like somebody tested positive for flu or COVID. Guys, this is contagious. It does help. Time is of the essence. But the child was having difficulty breathing, wasn't responding to her asthma medications. And so I suggested that she take her right away to the hospital. I offered to call 911. And I know, parents were kind of hoping, that there was a way we could treat at home. But unfortunately, even though many strains of COVID don't seem to affect us as severely, a child with asthma, somebody with immunocompromised state, or somebody who gets a very high viral load could unfortunately still have issues. And so I told them, I know, it's people go, well, it's just COVID. It's, this is something that could unfortunately be serious. So the new cicada strain has been confirmed in 25 states. What I find problematic when I hear that something has been confirmed in 25 states, I'm getting patients again calling up telemedicine. And so if this child goes to the hospital, somebody will swab her, and then that will get sent, to the CDC, or the CDC will be made aware of it. But for individuals testing at home, we don't see the numbers. We don't know. We don't know what strain. Same thing with flu season. We're not going to be getting accurate flu numbers this year because we have a lot of people that tested at home. Not everybody got, because some people say, well, Dr. Dahlia, that's okay, because we also could look at Tamiflu and antiviral prescriptions. Not a lot of people got antivirals. So we're going to have an underestimation of that number. I really liked kind of the old days where we could swab and report but was everything reported back then? No. So, but it helps us epidemiologically, because now we got this new COVID strain. We keep hearing about it. And what do we need to prepare? Now, while, some of us are like, Dahlia, gosh, the government overstepped, and they did overreach. They did overstep and overreach. My issue is I'm not here to get into the politics of it. I want to make sure we have enough hospital beds. I want to make sure we have enough ventilators. I want to make sure we have enough oxygen. Unfortunately, we have peaks and troughs of when we have enough supplies. And also, I keep seeing COVID, keep hitting us after flu season during the early summer. Remember they used to call it the UK strain, and then they called it Alpha? That was one of the next waves of COVID that hit us, and it hit us in the summer. And then when I got COVID, I got it in the summer. And so I want to make sure you guys are prepared, because, again, if you do end up having difficulty breathing, or your child has difficulty breathing, and you think you have a hospital bed with your name on it, think again. We don't have enough hospital beds. And so I want to make sure you guys are prepared. So this new COVID variant is called cicada because, as we know with cicadas, they hide underground and then they come out. So the variant is officially known as BA 3.2. It was identified last June, but named after the insect, even though the insect has nothing to do with this. And so the CDC has confirmed cases in at least 25 states. And the CDC used nasal swabs, clinical samples, and wastewater surveillance. So that helps. Looking at wastewater, they're able to pick it up. And that, to me, is very valuable because, as I said, not a lot of individuals go and get tested or get seen, especially if it's mild. But the states right now with confirmed cases include California, Connecticut, Florida, Hawaii, Idaho, Illinois, Louisiana, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, Missouri, Nevada, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, South Carolina, Utah, Vermont, Virginia, and Wyoming. So what does this, is this cicada a more milder form? Is it more serious? Well, we're learning. We have noticed that it has mutated through its spike proteins, as many of these viruses do. And some viruses mutate and get weaker, some get smarter. So they believe that this cicada has certain mutations that make it more transmissible and more capable of evading prior immunity. The symptoms: sore throat, headache, body aches, fever, cough, loss of taste or smell. That's not with every COVID case. Many people can still smell and taste. So like, well, it's not COVID. It's not like this isn't your your granddaddy's COVID. I mean, this isn't the one that we saw in early 2020 or late 2019. But we are seeing GI symptoms. So patients are calling up saying, I have flu, I have some diarrhea, I have cough, and then I'll ask them, I'm like, did you swab yet? Did you test for flu? And when they test for flu, it's negative. So not everybody. Some people still have flu. We're still in flu season till next month. But the symptoms, unfortunately, can look very similar to flu. Big difference I see between flu and COVID is flu usually hits you out the gate, hits you hard, hits you heavy with a lot of symptoms at once, whereas COVID starts to morph. And you might start with the sore throat, and then you might start getting the runny nose, and then maybe the cough, etc. So, COVID has already, how many hospitalizations and deaths are we looking at? Well, according to KCEN TV, in the 2024-2025 respiratory season, there were about 400,000 hospitalizations and 45,000 people died related to COVID. So it's still an issue, as much as I want to say it's not. And for those of you who luckily have gotten COVID and it was mild, I'm really glad about that. For me, my COVID, when I got COVID, I think the first time, it sucked. That was the most painful headache. I didn't like my fever. I couldn't stop coughing. I was nervous. I really was nervous for a little while there. The second time I got COVID, I was like, you know what? Okay, thank God. I got some immunity. I had, the artificial immunity from the vaccines, the natural immunity from getting it. So I felt like I was prepared a little bit more. However, that immunity wanes. The vaccine immunity wanes as well as our natural immunity wanes. I still think we do carry some antibodies, but like with the flu each year, if you don't get the flu shot, you don't get as much protection. We do believe that the current flu or COVID shots should offer protection. How much? We can't say at this point. But if you are at all experiencing shortness of breath, fever, not feeling right, get the diagnosis. And if your at-home test is negative, still get checked out. It still could be RSV. You could be developing pneumonia. It could also be COVID that just isn't getting picked up by these over-the-counter tests. A lot of us have COVID tests that we got back in 2021. I haven't thrown mine out. I should. But if those were designed to pick up the earlier strains, right, like the Alpha and the Delta variant, and it might not be as accurate. It still could pick up COVID, but it might not be as accurate as what we need for cicada. Now, what do we do about not having enough hospital beds? That's a problem. For those of you that have medical providers, they understand the current situation. They understand the hospital situation. And you say, look, I want to be kept out of the hospital. If I do get COVID, what's the plan? How do I get my Paxlovid or the antiviral right away? A lot of doctors don't have an answering service anymore. They don't. I used to do that. I used to get calls in the middle of the night, answer patients back, call in prescriptions. I never slept. And a lot of doctors are like, I can't work like this. And I don't blame them. And so you try calling your doctor after hours, nothing happens. So now you try to call online, telemedicine. And some of you have been very frustrated that you can't get the COVID medication, the Paxlovid medication, through a telemedicine company. Well, one is if the telemedicine doctor can't verify that you're not pregnant. Usually with young individuals, they have to go in and get seen to see how severe they are. Older individuals may be able to get treated over the phone, but if the Paxlovid, I don't think we give a lot of molnupiravir anymore. But if the Paxlovid can interact with some of the medications you're on, or if we don't know your renal function, it's hard to give you remotely over the phone. So if that's the case, we recommend, again, going in and getting seen. What I would recommend is if you do want to be able to get treated over the phone, make sure you are up to date on your blood tests. Make sure you're up to date on your medications. Talk to your medical provider so that hopefully you can be treated. Even if you need like a SVN breathing machine at home, try to get yourself as ready as possible for anything, even next flu season, because I'm seeing the hospitals overwhelmed and people not getting beds when they need to. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY.
Looking for a gift that can actually help secure someone's future? It's Mark Falter's new book, Common Sense Income Strategies. It makes the perfect gift for that special someone in your life. Mark has helped thousands of hardworking Americans secure their financial future by using time-tested strategies that continue to create wealth, whether the market is up or down. Strategies that will make perfect sense once you take the time to read this powerful book. Common Sense Income Strategies brings to you what Mark has been teaching in person and talking about on the radio for decades. You've worked too long and too hard not to see the fruits of your labor. To learn how to receive your free copy, call 866-764-2635. That's 866-764-2635. Secure your future with Common Sense Income Strategies by Mark Falter. Again, to learn how to receive your free copy, call 866-764-2635. That's 866-764-2635.
Back on the Dr. Dolly Show, 1-877-DOC-DOLLY, 1-877-DOC-DALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to y'all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Dahlia, Facebook, The Dr. Dahlia Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So I don't wear short sleeve shirts anymore. I hate that. It's getting hot. I need a tan. I think you all can agree on that one. And I don't do it because sometimes my mild psoriasis on my elbows will show. And I don't like the way it looks. And so I cover it up. And I didn't, a lot of people don't realize how much it affects our self-confidence, our style. 8 million Americans live with psoriasis. So I am really, really excited about our next guest. Stacey London, you've all seen her on TLC, TV host and fashion expert, and Nitika Chopra, entrepreneur and wellness advocate, are here to talk to us about psoriasis and how to live with this condition. Hi, ladies. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, Dr. Julia. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Wow. All right. So the psoriasis, in addition to, risks of psoriatic arthritis and other medical issues, getting dressed in the morning is a challenge. Talk to us about, the condition and both your journeys in terms of psoriasis.
Sure. I mean, hi, it's me, it's Stacey. I was diagnosed with plaque psoriasis when I was 3. So I've kind of been navigating the condition my whole life, over 50 years of different doctors, different dermatologists, different treatments, and it has always sort of been a part of me. And I think a large part that informed my interest in style, because while the condition itself made me feel very self-conscious, I realized that there were ways to combat those feelings. And one of the reasons that I'm excited to partner with Nitika and with AbbVie on this campaign about awareness is that really I think that there's so much that we can feel helpless about when we're diagnosed with a chronic situation and don't feel that there are ways necessarily to gain agency over that. And we really want you to feel like you have some.
That commercial where the woman, sorry to interrupt, but that commercial where the woman the husband wants to be intimate with her. And she looks at the camera because she suffers with psoriasis and says, I am so done. That really hit home. Nitika, talk to us about your journey and your challenges.
Yeah, That's such a poignant thing to bring up, Dr. Dahlia, is just that image of just wanting to be close to somebody, you know, whether it's in friendship or in any kind of relationship. And I know for me, I was diagnosed with psoriasis, with plaque psoriasis at the age of 10. And oh my gosh, that was the time where everybody was, you know, playing soccer or having sleepovers and doing all this stuff. And throughout many years, many decades of my life, I, you know, really struggled to figure out where was my place, because I was the only one that I knew of that had psoriasis, even though there are millions of people who have psoriasis. And I felt so alone. I felt so separate. I felt like really othered. And the good part about this journey is that because I felt those emotions so deeply and so strongly, it really pushed me to figure out who I was. If I lost a friend because they couldn't be there for me, who were my real friends? You know, who were the ones that were really showing up? And also really to get my voice around advocating for myself and finding the right dermatologist to work with. I think all of those things have been wildly positive in my journey, even though they started with challenges.
You know, Stacy, I love how you are helping us feel empowered and making us feel we could style again. Talk to us about your work on that.
I mean, you know, I think that really, if I'm being completely honest, I think that having had plaque psoriasis is part of the reason that I understand the power of personal style. And that was, you know, both in my being very ashamed at first to show my skin and slowly, you know, learning to accept my skin. And whether or not you feel like showing your skin off, whether you are having a flare or not having a flare, good day, bad day, you're going to adjust your style, right, based on how you're feeling. And you want that style to work for you. So things like, you know, breathable fabrics that are natural, like cotton or linen, are always going to be great bets, especially in spring, summer. And there is no shame in saying you don't want to show your elbows. Like, I really appreciate the fact that you were like, I don't wear short sleeves. Now, that's your choice. I don't shame you for that. And if somebody wanted to show their elbows, I wouldn't shame them for that either. Yeah. But what I do think is that, you know, you should be prepared if you're showing your psoriasis that, all right, people may ask questions. People may react in a way where you want to feel prepared with an answer. But this is much more about whether you're covering up or not covering up. Are you wearing things that bring you joy? Are you wearing things that keep your skin nice, soft, and supple, right? Are you wearing things that allow your skin to breathe? And those are daily decisions that once you start to get in the flow of living with this condition can be quite empowering, not as challenging, because you start to develop personal style. You start to wear the prints and the colors that you love. And really, I have found that to be so incredibly emboldening in my own life.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Now, I know you have to go in about a minute or so. But it really, I'm watching the NCAA championship and AbbVie's So Done commercial. I tell you, that commercial hit me where she looks to the camera and says, I'm so done. And I'm like, because I also have a marketing background. I'm like, that was brilliant. And it really talked to us in the last minute or so about the So Done campaign.
Yeah, the So Done campaign is really about showing people that they are not alone. And if they are feeling that moment of being so done, feeling held back, feeling like they are self-conscious, they're not getting the support that they need, that they can actually advocate for themselves at their doctor's office. And also bring their family members in. Have people really bring their family members and their friends into their experience. Don't keep themselves apart. Don't keep themselves separate, because they're not the only ones living with this. So we want people to check out the So Done campaign. We also want people to make sure they get more information about navigating psoriasis with their doctor. Go to their dermatologist and get that information as soon as they can.
I love that. Stacy, Nitika, I wish we had more time with you, but you guys are amazing. I can't wait to have you back. One more time, the website for my listeners.
They can actually just go straight to their doctor and their dermatologist and learn more about So Done.
Oh, love it. Thank you guys so much. Can't wait to have you back.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No worries. 1-877-Dr. Dolly, 1-877-DOCDALI. So I have a family member, male family member, who has severe plaque psoriasis, legs, knees, scalp, and will go to the beach. And, because, he likes the sun, because the sun helps with the symptoms. And, see, to me as a physician, it doesn't look bad. But I always fear that other people will be like, oh no, it's bleeding and it's cracked and And he's like, and he actually improves. And I see within a day or two how the psoriasis improves with the UV and the vitamin D and all that, even though make sure you are under a very supervised sun program with your dermatologist, because we definitely don't want you more vulnerable to skin cancer because the skin doesn't protect as much. But, my patients or friends or family members who, do struggle with this, some of them are like, I'm living with it, and everybody can just, eat eggs if they have if they have a problem with it. But others, they do get frustrated. And so, I was watching this commercial. I think it was during the NCAA championship where, the husband's trying to get all intimate, and, he turns off the light, and, so I guess he doesn't have to look at the lesions, and she looks at the camera going, I'm so done. So very, very good campaign. With psoriasis, it's an autoimmune condition that affects the skin that can cause plaques. It can cause itching. It could cause, in fact, a lot of individuals misdiagnose their eczema or their psoriasis as eczema. And so when I see patients where they go, my eczema's flaring up, and it's very plaquey, and it's very resistant to the steroid creams you've been using, and it just starts to crack and bleed. Even though eczema can do that, sometimes you could have underlying psoriasis. So always make sure you get yourself checked out and the right diagnosis, because there's a lot of things we could do to address it. 1-877-Doc-Dolly, don't go away.
Hey guys, it's Clyde. We've had a lot of requests for Ground Zero merchandise, so we put together an online store with a big variety of high-quality items. I'm really excited to let you know about these things. We have a lot to offer you and your loved ones. In addition to our regular apparel, such as t-shirts, beanies, hoodies, and hats, we've expanded our product line with posters, flags, aprons, mugs, and a whole lot more. We also have Ground Zero collectibles, along with a limited edition of items like a Clyde Lewis canvas portrait, a Ground Zero embroidered jacket that will certainly make for great gifts and for interesting conversations with family and friends. And we now offer publications such as Ron Patton's book about mind control, MK Zine, and back copies of the official magazine of Ground Zero while it was in print. Paranoia, the Conspiracy Reader, also coming in 2023, are updated and revised books that I've written. There's a secure and easy-to-use shopping cart for your purchases. So shop today at our official store by going to groundzeromerch.com. Again, that's groundzeromerch.com.
Hey, America. How tired are you of mainstream corporate media's biased narratives and manipulated news? Their dishonesty and attempts to influence this generation have been exposed, put on display for anyone who's even half paying attention. But the New American Magazine has been an honest source of news and commentary for over 50 years. This is your opportunity to receive the stalwart of principled journalism at a deep discount. Picture a beautifully published magazine arriving at your doorstep twice a month, packed with insightful stories written with integrity. It's also available digitally on the New American's mobile app. Get up to speed with intelligent coverage from a freedom perspective. Right now, for a limited time, the New American is available to radio listeners at a 25% discount on a new subscription. Visit thenewamerican.com/radio25 and receive 25% off. Subscribe today at thenewamerican.com/radio25.
And we're back on the Dr. Dahlia Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Doc-Dolly, 1-877-DOCDALI. So I trained in the 90s. So we would tell you, if you had to go to your doctor, would say, go to your doctor. Go to your doctor. What did your doctor tell you? Have you seen a doctor? Do you have a doctor? So we use that terminology in the 80s, in the 70s, in the 60s, in the 50s. But things started to change in the 90s because many people were seeing non-doctors who were taking care of them. Physician assistants, nurse practitioners. I mean, physician assistants and nurse practitioners have been around for decades, but their role just exploded in the 90s and then 2000s. And so out of respect for nurse practitioners and physician assistants who didn't want to be called mid-levels because they were doing the same work that doctors were doing in primary care settings and in a variety of other healthcare settings, they changed the term to provider. Who's your provider? Because they thought that it would be discriminatory and it would be insulting to just assume you were seeing a doctor when you could actually have been seeing a nurse practitioner or physician assistant. And so to prevent there being confusion or the patient having to clarify, well, wait a second, it's not a doctor, it's a physician assistant, but they're taking care of me. They use this kind of umbrella term saying provider. And now you're having doctors speak out going, no, we don't like that terminology. So the American College of Physicians is saying that we should not be referring physicians to as providers. They said language in healthcare has ethical and practical implications, according to MedPage Today. They say physicians should be referred to as physicians, not providers. This is an ethics statement, which they developed by the ACP Ethics, Professionalism, and Human Rights Committee, published in the Annals of Internal Medicine. And I find this kind of fascinating because the reasoning behind the not calling us doctors is they were trying to move towards, well, we don't want to have this stratification. We don't want to look elitist. We don't want to make nurse practitioners or PAs feel bad because they're doing, the same work anyway, and so there was this big movement, to not, and now they're like, oh, no, it's wrong. They say the term provider undermines the physician's ethical obligation, clinical integrity, and accountability, as well as trust in the patient-physician relationship. This is the statement by Louis Snyder Solmasi, a lawyer, director of the Center for Ethics and Professionalism at ACP, as well as Dr. Jan Carney, who's president-elect. So they said that if you use the term provider, this has been extensively discussed in other papers, and even the American Medical Association has advised against the term provider. See, I don't mind, when somebody says, well, Dr. Dahlia was my provider, it's fine. Even if they, I don't care if people call me doctor or not. Yeah, I worked hard to earn, the doctorate, but that just wasn't something that I really care about. I'd rather you take care of yourself. I'd rather, the message gets conveyed that I was at least a part of the care. I don't care how I was titled. But a lot of people and a lot of doctors, now that you're having a lot of doctors very unhappy about the profession, a lot of people going, why should I go and be a doctor when I could make similar money as a nurse practitioner or physician assistant and have less in student loans and fewer years in school? And so maybe this is their way of trying to reignite the flame that a lot of people who went into medicine to become a doctor, sought. I don't know. Somebody providing medical care, is a very generalized term, but everybody to me is equally important. The nurse who's taking care of you, to me, is as important, if not more, than the doctor who gave the order over the telephone. I really, really respect everybody that is giving care, but they say the language affects the perception and value of what's being provided, as well as one's professional sense of self, and can influence behavior. They say terms such as covered lives and patient leakage should be avoided. Okay, leakage. I don't really still see that term. They say patients still want trusted, compassionate relationships and care by humanistic physicians who exercise independent clinical judgment and profess to heal when possible and to comfort always. Physicians should strive, they say, to fulfill these expectations, and language should recognize and support their individual and collective ethical responsibilities to serve patients. So, I don't know if this is also a way to kind of, commit doctors to a relationship and to remind them of the ethics and the relationship they have with patients rather than it being contractual. For you guys as patients, I wouldn't worry about this too much. I mean, I know there are a lot of individuals who may be insulted. Like I told you, patients now, especially the younger generation, they're so afraid of misgendering that they call people by their first name. So rather than saying Mrs. or Mr., which a lot of us Gen X's and baby boomers and older generations, were hit with rulers if we didn't, to show a sign of respect. Many of these, younger generation will just call you Bob or Mary. And I know a lot of older individuals are like, it's Mrs. Mary. Why are you, addressing me by my first name? Because the penalty for misgendering has gotten so severe that people would rather look rude and insult somebody or than misgender. And so I'm also noticing that in terms of doctor. So I work for a telemedicine company. My name pops up on their end. They know I'm the doctor or quote unquote provider, and they'll call me, oh, hi, Dahlia. Now, I'm not used to that, but I don't mind, and I'm like, I'm Dr. Wax. It's not a problem. You call me whatever you want, but I just need to let you know I am the physician. All right. So, because a lot of people are like, are you the doctor? Or when do I speak to the doctor? And I'm like, well, it's me, Dahlia, but I'm Dr. Wax. So I always clarify who I am, especially since they're going to be asking, private medical information, because we're doing a visit over the phone. It's a telemedicine company that they've called. But for to play it safe, because people always ask me, they go, gosh, am I going to insult a nurse practitioner or PA calling them doctor? Just to play it safe, say, how would you like to be addressed? And some of them are, by the way, there's a lot of nurse practitioners who are doctors. They're doctors and nurse practitioner. So, and I've seen doctors of PAs. So you don't want to assume somebody's not a physician. So you're like, hi, how can I address you? How would you like to be addressed? And that's kind of where we're probably moving towards now. So we're not misgendering. I've always taught students ask how they would like to be addressed, because my mom's name is Karen and she never liked her name. She always wanted to go by Kay. And she always told me she can't stand that her name on her birth certificate is Karen. So everybody calls her that. And I'm like, well, hopefully your doctor is asking how you would like to be addressed, because that's what we're supposed to do. So but can you tick off your doctor? We've talked about this. There's a lot of different ways you could upset your doctor. And it's a shame that's now an issue. It used to not be. Your doctor had no biases, shouldn't have showed their biases. Didn't matter if you got a vaccine or not, they would still take care of you. They would, now that people are so politically charged and obsessed with politics, people are concerned about it. I'm telling you as a physician, from what I've learned, no. However you feel, whatever your creed is, whatever your religion is, that's you. And if there's something you don't feel like you're comfortable doing, such as, let's say, performing an abortion, you recuse yourself and you say, I can't, but we'll try to find you somebody who can help you, because, unfortunately, this isn't a procedure that I can do. So we're getting there, but, this discussion with, gosh, are we allowed to use the term doctor or provider? I've just been using it because, again, we're just all trying to play it safe. And this is an example of how we're just falling all over ourselves, trying not to insult people, trying not to misgender or say the wrong thing. And, we end up just still continuing to insult people. It just doesn't seem to get fixed, huh? 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI.
Looking for an easy read that can actually help secure someone's future? Pick up a copy of Mark Falter's book, Common Sense Income Strategies. For the past 30-plus years, Mark has helped thousands of hardworking Americans secure their financial future by using strategies that continue to create wealth, whether the market is up or down. Strategies that will make perfect sense once you take the time to read this powerful book. Common Sense Income Strategies brings to you what Mark has been teaching in person and talking about on the radio for decades. It's not rocket science, it's a pretty easy read. You've worked too long and too hard not to see the fruits of your labor. Common Sense Income Strategies is available now on Amazon or by calling 866-764-2635. That's 866-764-2635. Common Sense Income Strategies by Financial Fitness Show host Mark Falter. Secure your financial future today.